All right. Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back. It's another awesome episode of the world famous Keepin' It Real podcast, which I think over the last several weeks, it's been determined that this is the world's greatest podcast and it is your favorite. So I appreciate everybody for keeping that streak alive for me. Today, I'm super excited for a couple different reasons. Number one, I met my man over here at Win the Storm, and he's got some serious energy. This is going to be a really fun episode, but also I've got another podcast debut here today on Keepin' It Rio. So without any hesitation, I'd like to welcome my friend Caston Harp from Limitless Roofing Group to the Keepin' It Rio podcast. What is going on, young man? How's it going?
It's going pretty well, Chuck. Thank you so much for having me. And now we'll get to be worldwide with you. So it's pretty exciting times. I'm not going to lie.
Yep, I love it, dude. So I was just talking about Win the Storm. That's where you and I met. And it was really cool because you stood out as the guy that was like really excited to be there. And just, you know, even on the second day when you get tired of talking to people, you were still kind of energetic about it. And I thought, you know, this dude really stood out. And I wanted to reach out and see if you'd be a guest on the podcast because I wanted to learn more about you as a guy and also about what you're doing. So thanks for taking the time. This plays on Thursdays, but we're actually doing this at 5:50 p.m. on Friday. So it's kind of cool. I always appreciate people taking the time to talk. And without any hesitation, let's get this conversation underway, my friend. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You've been in the industry for a short time. Tell me a little bit about your life history, you know, up until 6 months ago or whenever, 8 months ago when you got into the industry. What was life like prior to this?
It was wild. It's been a pretty long ride. I've done a lot of sales jobs, door knocking for like Leaf Guard, sold some stuff for Renewal by Anderson windows and doors, jewelry, insurance. If you can think of it, I've probably tried to sell it. So from high ticket sales to even the car cleaning products at gas stations, running up to people, hey, real quick, just let me show you this. So it's been a blessing finding myself in the position that I am, especially with this industry that we have in the roofing industry. Because I never in a million years thought I'd be here. Never in a million years thought I'd be on a podcast. So I just kind of went for it. You know, I saw an opportunity. I was in between jobs at the moment. And I never really found a position that like I felt like was my own tribe or was my own family. And then Limitless Roofing Group came around and that changed, honestly. So my story, it's one for the books. That's what I say. I will say it has a lot of ups and downs, but we're at the top right now, and it can only go even higher. So I'm definitely excited to kind of be able to bring some joy in the world. That's honestly my goal in life, is to try and make an impact, whether I open a door for a stranger or I just make somebody smile or save them some money with their roofing company. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that's what makes me thrive as a person. And I'm definitely blessed to have met you at Win the Storm. Thank you for saying some of those kind things, because I'm a firm believer of like when you go to these events that you got to do something to stand out. You have to, you know, your company, they pay a lot of money, frankly, for these booths. And why would you just sit there watching people walk by? I'm going to try and squeak a chicken at you. I'm going to tell you a joke. I'm going to do something, you know, just to make you laugh and like, who is this guy? Who is this kid? You know? So yeah, hopefully I have a little bit of value to bring. I'm still learning the ins and outs of the industry. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now and what we're looking forward to for the future.
Yeah, buddy, I love that. And your enthusiasm is like radiating through the screen. And anybody that's watching this, I hope you're fired up like I am, because this is going to be really good. So I love the background, right? It's like conventional sales is the thing, but you've tried to sell everything. And I appreciate people that hustle like this and people that go out there and are, you know, willing to put themselves out, because not everybody does. So let me ask you first and foremost, okay? We got to start at the very beginning. what was your first sales job that got you kind of the bug where you realized, dang, this is fun. I like what I'm doing. I've got away with words and I can talk to people. And, you know, what was the first thing that got you into sales where you just knew, okay, this is going to be what I'm going to do?
So it's actually a pretty funny story. I'm a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu, so I actually have a culinary degree in background, and I worked in some very high established places. You know, I've always had this thought process, and it's followed me in my sales career, that I don't want to just work for normal companies. I want to work for the best of the best, whether that be Wolfgang Puck, Ritz Carlton, K Jewelers, Limitless Roofing Group. You know. I want to be able to take pride in where I was working. So it was probably about 2014. I was cooking on the line at the Ritz, and I always knew I had a knack for conversation and just being able to talk to a brick wall if I needed to. And it just dawned on me. I got tired of being on the other side of the counter. Essentially, I wanted to be that guy that was enjoying that meal, that was getting all this proper service and like attention, to be so quite frank. And honestly, my very first sales job, I fell for one of those life insurance, I don't want to say scams, but like, come work with life insurance and you're going to be a millionaire type deal. And I did well at that. You know, I passed my insurance test first time. And it was going well for about 3 or 4 months. I was making steady income, but it just got too morbid for me. And like, I understand the need of life insurance, and it's definitely something everybody should have. But going into people's houses, looking on their mantles, looking on their fridges, like just finding like those key elements you can play a part to build that need really affected me in a negative way. It just wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, quite frankly. So that just kind of started me on a journey of how do I become the man I desire so much to be. And from there, I went to a company. It was called Smart Circle, where you become like a brand ambassador, and it's kind of like a pyramid scheme without having to put your own money in. You get a couple people under you, they get a couple people under them, you get promoted, you get your office. And that was fun. That was, I loved it, honestly. That was the car wax. And I was actually getting sent around the country, opening up different offices and help training new staff. And it was just great. You know, I was like 21, 22 at the time. I was working 7, 8 days a week. And like I said, I was traveling. So why not? Around that time, I had actually my firstborn child, a little girl. And I realized, like, you know, I can't really do this working nonstop and traveling, no benefits. So I just needed something like stable. And so that's kind of what started my transition out of that. And from there, I was really just lost. I kind of floated from job to job, different sales places, staying maybe 6 months to a year at each place. It wasn't really until about K Jewelers. I spent about 4 years at K's. I was on track to becoming a store manager, get my own store and all this. But I realized, I'm like, man, I'm working retail hours, 70, 80 hours a week. You know, yeah, I had great benefits. But I started seeing, I was like $60,000 a year as a store manager just doesn't make it worth it, all that time you put in. And I knew there had to be something bigger and better. And I kind of, you know, I kicked myself in the foot a little bit. I probably had a slower start than most in sales, and didn't realize the power of like networking or actually reading books and learning and improving. I just thought, hey, I can talk to anybody. Why not sell anything? And it just kind of transitioned. Like I said, one thing after another, always building my sales repertoire. But I never stopped losing sight of that focus of like, hey, this man can do it. This lady can do it. Why can't I do it? What's stopping me? What's holding me back? And that has been the everlasting solution, honestly, of why I want to succeed. I had a pretty crazy story, childhood, from all kinds of different abuse and such like that. Anything you can think of, I can probably have a story from it. And I made it to myself. I now have 2 children, 2 little girls. And I I've made a vow to myself. They'll never want for anything, and they will never experience some of the things I had to experience. And I'll do whatever it takes to make sure that I accomplish that. So it's kind of where it all kind of stemmed from, honestly. And I don't know if that was long-winded, but
no, I love that story. It's great because it just shows me, okay, that's the kind of guy that I'm talking with today, is someone that doesn't settle, doesn't find himself in one spot and say, okay, I'm good. This is making enough money to pay the bills. Look, I'm the same exact way. Okay. I was a truck driver. I used to roof load shingles for 15 years. And then I got an opportunity to leave and go down to North Carolina and open a branch of a roofing supply company from scratch. Never thought I would do that in my life. I jumped at the opportunity. That didn't work out for me. I end up in Texas randomly. I've been here for 13 years now. And it's like, the roofing company, it was out of business 5 years ago when we bought it. And I built it back up. We had a good run, shut it down last year, bought it back at the end of the year and resurrected for the second time. So, it's never about being satisfied. And for me, it's all about the adventure. And it's about the people that you get to meet along the way, the stories that you get to really develop in your mind. And some of them change over the course of time, and they get more embellished. And I used to carry 35 bundles of shingles at a time, whatever. But the thing that's really cool about this is you have that spirit about you, and you've got your why, and your why is your two little girls. You've experienced things in your life that you don't want them to see, which that's the most noble reason of all, to continue to develop yourself, to continue to get better. And first off, I just want to say, man, that right there deserves a round of applause, because that's the way that it should be. And I like that you mentioned you went through all these different things. You found, you were looking for a home, really, and you were looking for something, like you said, where you feel like it's your tribe and it's something where you are going to contribute and you're going to be a major contributor to the team. And my friend, it appears as though you have found this. So let's talk a little bit about your experience with Limitless. How did you find this organization? Because I'll be honest, I've been in the roofing industry 26 years. I never heard of Limitless Roofing Group until the day you introduced me to it. So how did you find it before I did?
Well, it was actually a pretty funny story. So last year I was working for a mastermind, and I'm not going to sit here and say which one it was, but it was a pretty high-level mastermind. And I was doing my diligence, going in groups and posting things and just trying to farm engagement and sales and just clients, just prospecting on Facebook. And I actually met a gentleman named Robert Posey. And so he's one of the executives here. He's the CRO here of Limitless now. And he owns a Facebook group called Sales Professional Group. And there's like 55,000 members in it. So I saw that as a gold mine, right? I was like,
oh, yeah.
Hey, like free advertising. Well, he had a conversation with me, and he was like, hey, man, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. I'm not going to say this or that. Just you can't be fishing that hard in my group. And I said, fair enough. That's all right. I can agree with that. And fast forward a couple months later, things kind of started playing out like he kind of essentially told me it would. I knew he was a man that had some influence in the industry. I didn't realize how much of an influence he had in roofing. I just knew he was a good person to be in my network. So I just kind of started talking to him, and he was like, hey man, I got this gig. I think it'll be perfect for you. Cause he also owns a company called Remote Rep. So I was at least thinking, hey, maybe he could help me find like a remote sales job, something like that. And he started telling me about Limitless. And I'm like, hey man, whoa. I've never, I've done door knocking for some contracting. I've done, windows, doors, gutters. I was like, but I don't know anything about the roofing industry. This was probably last September-ish, August area. He's like, that's fine, Caston. I've seen you speak. You're very affluent. You're very energetic. This is about business, people, and saving people money. I said, okay, I can get behind that, And then fast forward, and here we are. And it's funny you say that you've never heard of anything like Limitless before or anything. Apparently, no one had. that's what made this beauty. That's what made our company stick out. Dylan McCabe, our CEO, he comes from healthcare. So like group purchasing organizations, they were fairly prevalent in that space where doctors' practices banding together and getting group rates essentially on medicines and software, whatever have you. Well, he started talking to Miller, our other co-founder. He went to work for him at Raintight Contracting, and he's on Raintight for about 25 years. He was like, man, where are some of these? How can we save some money? Like, what's going on? They never really, they didn't he did. Miller was like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not, it doesn't exist. So fast forward, they were putting some work in. This was probably about 5 years ago. They initially came up with this concept, and now here we are. Limitless is about 3 years in business, and we're just hoping to grow, honestly. So it's definitely been a blessing where I'm at, because I have found my tribe. I have found my home. Heck, I'm actually saved. I found Jesus because of Limitless Roofing Group, like indirectly, but kind of directly for that. So I owe them a lot more than just, the ability to say, hey, we're going to be super successful in a lot more ways.
Yeah, man. I like that. That is really inspiring. And I love the fact that you're in somewhere where, honestly, like you just said, the roofing experience is not even necessary in any way. You are not really focusing on that at all, but you're working with some of the major manufacturers, you're working with some of the major suppliers, some of the major organizations in industry in general. And to me, like, it's incredible, because I'm like, well, how did these guys all sign up with this, and how are they all participating when none of us knew what it was? So I know you just kind of got started with the company, but tell me just a little bit about the backstory as you know it, as to, getting this thing up and running, getting the word out there. Was this just basically a grassroots campaign where a couple guys were just, trying to network the way that they do, and they somehow made it happen? Or, what does that look like to get to the point to where you're at now, where you are, promoting this company and doing everything, but you've only been with them for 8 months. So what were the first 2 years like?
Yeah, so it sounds like it was a pretty grassroots building. So they started off with like a mastermind, like CEO style mastermind for roofing company owners. Dylan and Miller would go to IRE, they'd go to RoofCon, SRC, Win the Storm, all these big events, and they have for years, a long time. And they just started meeting people along the way, and just kind of just having more and more connections and growth, honestly. And they would just, it just all happened like that, honestly. It was just like one day they had probably, I want to say, like 20 members in their little mastermind. Dylan has this quote he likes to say, where we don't want 1 + 1 to equal 2. We want it to equal 3 or 4 or 5. You never know when one conversation could be multiplicative of itself and bring in 10 more conversations from that. And so it was kind of inspiring seeing and hearing how all this came together, just by being known, showing up at these events, shaking hands, going to these dinners, going to these lunches. It grew. I want to say they had about from like 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. There was about 77 people when I signed up with them or joined with them last August. And now we're close to 400 members. So it's been very, very much a privilege to watch it grow and flourish. And like, they just, some of these recordings and conversations that I've seen between Dylan and some of these high level companies, like, it's insane. It's like a lawyer's deposition, like the back and forth negotiation on some of our partnerships. And I knew right then, I was like, this is cool. This is something organic. This is something that's going to help a lot of people. This is something I need to be in. And then just watching the power of, honestly, conversation and networking. And here we are.
Right. It's amazing how that works. And people always try to overcomplicate things. And it's like, you know what? If you talk to more people, you get more opportunities. Literally this morning, okay, I was coming home from the gym and I stopped at the gas station over here by my house. I got probably over the last 5 years, I'd say I've been in that gas station maybe 3,000 times. Like they know me, and we're good. Well, I get an appointment today with the guy behind the counter who I've known for years. His roof's leaking. So I went over and looked at his this afternoon. We took care of it. His boss has a hail claim down in the very elite neighborhood. And guess what? I joked with him. I said, well, hell, I've bought your roof probably 6 times myself just by buying, $3 purchases at the store. Next thing you know, I've got an appointment tomorrow morning to go look at this man's roof in a gated community. So that's how you do it, right? And I think that's always going to be the best way. I think person-to-person communication, and you were spot on when you said you've got to stand out. You've got to be a little different. You guys at Win the Storm were not even in really like one of the premium front row booths. You were kind of on a corner lot, like, as we were walking, you were on the right side. And I remember that. And it was like, to be able to get that kind of attention and have so many people stop in and say, wow, I really appreciate that guy's energy, and the company is something that's actually beneficial to us as small business owners. And I guess that's my next question is, with Limitless, who exactly are you guys looking to serve? Who is your ideal client? Is it the mom and pop organization? Is it the $20 million company? Is there room for everybody? What does it look like?
Honestly, there is room for everybody. The more the merrier. As we grow, that's just going to provide better discounts and rebates, savings essentially for all of our members. Our predominant target probably is the medium to smaller companies, the guys that are just kind of a number. You get these big suppliers, they don't really want to add that value to you. They don't, you're just, okay, it's these guys. I'm not really going to bend over backwards for them or anything like that. We want to give everybody a fair shot. Now, that being said, we have guys doing 50, 60K a year in revenue. We have our top members doing $45 million a year in revenue. So, there definitely is a little bit of everybody, whether it's the networking aspect, the saving aspect. We just, like I said, we want everybody to win. From what I've seen, what I've noticed, and just what I've been told, the roofing industry has almost a sort of stigma about it. And there's a lot.
Indeed.
So, and Dylan and Miller, they're both very faithful men. I can see them live by the values they talk about. And that to me is very important for me personally and also professionally. If I can help, like I said, I just want to make people smile at the end of the day. If I can make somebody smile, it doesn't matter if you sign up with Limitless or not. Did we have a good conversation? Are you going to think good at, like, if you think of me, are you going to be like, all right, he's genuine, That's what matters to me the most, because I like to bring value without expecting anything. Kind of like you did with that gentleman at the gas station. You were kind of joking with him. You didn't expect to get anything out of it. But next thing you know, you got this inspection scheduled tomorrow in a gated neighborhood that you would have probably not been in had it just not been for the relationship you built. So to me, that speaks volumes over anything else that I can speak on, just because it's human nature, law of reciprocity. You give, and then eventually people want to give back to you. Hopefully, right?
Yeah, the right people do. And that's the key right there. And you're doing it for the right reason. You're doing it to help people genuinely. And, it's funny. And I kind of get that little snicker whenever people say, roofing has this stigma, because it really does. I was talking to a homeowner this morning and I told her, the beautiful thing about roofing in the state of Texas is you don't have to have a license to do it. Like, you can live the American dream. I told her, I was like, you can go start a roofing company, and on paper, you're as qualified as I am, even though I've got 26 years and I've done thousands of roofing projects and I've been through the entire industry. We would basically be equals on paper in the way that it goes. And that's also the biggest disaster that could possibly ever happen, because so many people that shouldn't be in it get into it. And that does, whether it's intentional, in a lot of cases it is. I've seen it over the course of my career. A lot of times people get in with bad intentions. They're looking to take advantage of the situation, make a bunch of money, and then leave. But I also think that there are a lot of people that have true intentions, maybe get in over their head, maybe don't understand everything to the fullest extent before they get into it. And I think having groups like Limitless, where multiple companies with different, different, like you say, different revenue sources, different, everything that they do, can go to one place and can kind of collaborate with each other and know that it's going to be a good opportunity for the big guy to help the little guy, and knowing that that's, the big guy's willing to help the little guy and vice versa. I think it's really a cool thing. And I kind of forgot where I was going with that because I got fired up about it. But I want to know, like, when you get to the Win the Storm conference, you start having these people coming up and they're like, man, tell me a little bit more about it. You're explaining your program. Let's just pretend real quick that we're at Win the Storm, because there's going to be people that weren't at Win the Storm that are going to watch this. I hope we're going to have millions of viewers. So I know there weren't millions of people at Win the Storm. I was there. There was hundreds, but we want millions. So tell us a little bit about Limitless and what it offers, what the benefits are, and why would anybody not want to be a part of it?
Honestly, that's probably my favorite question right there. It is. I don't want to say it's a no-brainer, but at the end of the day, it's free and we can save you money. Some people are always look at me, and I use this line when I'm like trying to call people. Like, I promise I'm no Nigerian prince, okay? But honestly, it gives you access to the buying power that you wouldn't normally have. And you kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit. When you were mentioning like the bigger guys helping out the smaller guys and vice versa, like at the end of the day, I tell people like, hey, yeah, you might be having the best buying power. You might be set in your ways. Maybe there is nothing I can do for you as far as the savings aspect, right? But at the end of the day, do you want to help somebody potentially get to where you're going? Would you be willing to just maybe have a conversation, just show the rest of our group, hey, this is possible? Whether it's rebates, because we do provide rebates with like SRS, for example. We eliminate gates, tiers. But at the end of the day, heck, I tell people, look, we even have a discount with Discount Tire. Who doesn't need tires for their trucks?
And roofing, especially. I mean, that was the one that stuck out to me the most. And I was like, dude, these guys were thinking, because that is something that we all use. Everybody can agree on that. And Discount Tire, thumbs up to you guys, because I think everybody in the roofing world goes to Discount Tire. Usually every time I need to go there, there's about 5,000 roofers. So good thinking.
Right. And we try to make it to where it's like that. Like we have like 35 partnerships right now. So it's not just materials or supplies, and people think of us as like a wholesaling supply shop. We're none of that. You don't even purchase materials through us. If you look at my shirt, it kind of looks like the Costco logo, right? we have this inside joke. We're just the Costco of the roofing industry. You come to us, we help you get some discounts and savings on things you're already going to go purchase at Walmart, but now you get to do it with the collective buying power instead of on your own. So whether it be like insurance or supplementing or weather maps, it just goes on and on and on the value we can add, and just seeing it take place. And like, heck, I've had some of these larger companies, they've sent me messages like, man, I just saved like $600 on my tires. And I'm like, see, and you were talking about Limitless wasn't going to help you out, so it gets me really pumped up. I love talking about it. And a lot of it kind of Win the Storm. We have such success at events because our team, our culture, we all are bought in. We drank the Kool-Aid. All right, it is. And then we have a magician too. So like, who doesn't like a magician? Like, that's one thing you'd never expect to see at a roofing conference is is a magician just doing card tricks or doing like, you know? So we strive to be different. And like I said, I only want to work for the best companies. I want to work for these companies that have a high reputation, because to me, reputation as a man, that's one of the only things that you have. You know, you carry that with you. Your entire life is your name and your namesake. So to me, I don't want to do anything that will tarnish that namesake. I don't want to do anything that will potentially ruin my future, you know, because at the end of the day, you have your name, your family, and your love of God, and everything else is just kind of an added bonus.
You're spot on, my friend. And I really, really appreciate that perspective, because I think a lot of times we lose sight of that, and we do overcomplicate our lives quite a bit. And sometimes it's nice just to stop and think, you know what? This is all really cool. I'm just very grateful to be here. I'm going to help some people. Maybe not everybody's going to buy in. Maybe not everybody's going to be all, you know, sunshine and rainbows. And that's my next question for you. Okay. Like, I've been in this industry for a long time, and I've had numerous experiences with numerous sales reps, numerous companies. And I always like to ask the question, okay, you've been doing this in roofing for about 8 months. That's still plenty of time to have some of these stories. Tell me, number one, okay, the most unique roofer that you have met thus far in your career.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. You're gonna have me thinking a little bit. So honestly, I think all roofers are unique in some way. There's definitely some things that you're gonna do this way or that way. I to me, that's wow.
No pressure. Just
I
everybody in
know,
the
right?
industry is
No
hoping that
pressure.
they're the one now.
Give me a name. um, but honestly, there's too many to count. But like honestly, it's people. There's been a couple guys, especially one here locally here in Dallas. His name's AC. He runs a company called Malian, I should say, contracting here in DFW. And he was the first person like, hey, Caston, you want to go see a loadout? Let's go. I'll take you to one of my job sites. I'll let you get up on this roof. And, you know, I was so appreciative of that, because not everybody is going to take the time to let me on their job or let me up on that roof. Heck, I even told him, hey, I'll go knock doors with you if you want to, and not even ask for a piece of the commission, solely because I honestly miss knocking doors a little bit. I might be crazy, but
It's fun every once in a while, for sure.
But to help out a friend, you know, and to see his company succeed and grow, that to me, like, again, like people's values and integrity speaks way more than how big your pocketbook is, or how big your truck is, or how much revenue you're doing in a year. You know, those are all great things. And believe me, I'm here for it. You know, I want everybody to succeed. But when you actually take the time to get to know somebody on a more than a selfish level, like actually truly connect with somebody, that definitely, to me, it just means more. It just makes that connection all the more worthwhile. So if I had to say anything, I would probably choose AC. So shout out to him. He's still working. You know, he runs a couple different businesses. He's still working his main job as a flight attendant. I just want to see his company get off the ground. So, and then, I mean, of course, I've talked to loads of people and very successful people, and just I try and extract a little lesson from everybody I come across. You know, how can I do something better than I did it previously? That's my entire goal. Just be 1% better each day, because over the course of a year, that's 365% improvement. And you're not even going to remember who you were after that course of that year.
It's
So,
incredible how that works, and just being consistent. You know, I looked at my Facebook memories yesterday, and I had memories from 5 years ago, and it was a video, and I didn't recognize myself because I was all fat and bloated looking. And then I had one from 3 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I started to see a little bit of a transformation. And then I look at the ones that I do like today, and it's like, wow, that's crazy because I don't even remember being that other person. But as you continue to get better, that person just becomes more of a distant memory. And as you, excuse me, as you continue to improve, you continue to meet these people. I really like what you just said there about how the roofing industry, while it does also have that negative stigma about it, it's the most beautiful thing in that so many people are willing to let you come into their organizations. They're willing to let you come in and learn, you know, without knowing anything about the roofing industry. You go out there, there's probably a ton of things, and you were just thinking, wow, I had no idea. So let's just kind of deviate for a split second off of this and go to that little journey. You get out there to a job site for your very first time ever. Tell me what's going through your mind when you get there. What are you looking at? What are you trying to pick up? What kind of things do you see? And you realize, like, you know, this is far more skilled than what people give it credit for. And these guys really do work hard.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're not a question in my mind. Are they hard workers? Like the roofing industry is probably some of the most labor intensive things I've ever seen. But it's the care not only for like a homeowner's roof, but like how they take care of their lawn, how they look after their trees. Are they offering like gutter cleaning services or tree like trimming and such like that? Like what kind of, how are they tarping over their bushes? You know, are they careful to have the proper shoes and such on when they are walking on the roof? And just seeing all this all at one time, it's a bit overwhelming. You don't realize all of this care goes into a job like that, you know? So one of my goals, I would love to walk a commercial roof, see some like TPO or some coatings and acrylics. Haven't got there yet. But it's awesome to see, like, as far as like the residential side, like the joy on these homeowners' faces. Like, I've always thought like, oh, a roof's just a roof, but then like the roof protects one of their most expensive investments they'll ever make in their life. It protects their $400,000 home, their $500, multi-million-dollar home. It all starts with this roof. And if you don't have a good roof system, you're just going to be wasting money down the line. Whether it be, it's kind of like they always say, when I was doing windows, never offer a window replacement unless they have no foundation problems. Everything stems and everything plays. I didn't realize how everything worked hand in hand when it comes to like construction of a home or building of a home. Like there are levels to it and tiers, and at the very top, covering everything, is the roof. So it's been a wild ride. I definitely appreciate it ever since. So.
Well, yeah, and I love the fact that you're willing to go out there and do that. And with your previous experiences, you did kind of have an understanding of, some of the general concepts of construction and labor, but going out and seeing, like you say, the look on a homeowner's face. That, after 26 years of doing this, is probably my favorite thing about actually doing roofing projects. You've seen 1 or 10,000 of them. They all kind of start to blend together. But I always remember the homeowners, and I always try my best to just think of one thing to where if this person ever calls me back, I'm going to remember them, and I'm going to give them this thing that jogs their memory, and they're going to say, oh my gosh, like he really does remember me. And I've got a lot of examples of that. I had a guy that called me yesterday. 4 years ago, my roofing crew was doing their roof, and we had a very unfortunate situation that I took care of immediately, but we had put a cover over the swimming pool, and just somehow freakishly a piece of shingle came off the roof. And the way that it kind of did the Chinese start, it sliced the thing and it sunk the into the pool, right? So I immediately had the pool company out there. We had it clean within just a matter of a couple seconds. It wasn't a big deal. Nothing came of it. But I always remember that. So when this guy calls me 4.5 years later and says, yes, you did my roof, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the conversation, I said, hey, don't worry. This time, I'm not going to need to call the pool company, right? And the guy's like, holy crap. Like, wow, man, that's great. And then you realize, this guy really cared enough to remember that detail about my house. And when he said that, I said, you also cared enough about your experience that you called me back. You're calling me because you have another issue and you know that I'll take care of it. And to me, that's the most beautiful aspect of what we do. It's helping the homeowner at the end of the day. And with what you're doing, you're helping the people that are helping the homeowners, which makes it better for them as well. And I do want to talk a little bit about the partner companies that you guys have teamed up with to this point, because it was a huge variety. And I saw something on there that every roofing company that I know could maximize or could benefit from at least one of those on there right this very second. There's not anything on there that would not be beneficial to everybody I know. So tell me a little bit about some of the partner companies, some of the different benefits that the companies provide. And I love what you said about not having gates and not having tiers and all that stuff, because a lot of us are not big enough to get past those gates yet, and it becomes insurmountable to some. And a lot of people don't even understand what that means. So taking that out of the equation for some of the newer owners, it's hugely beneficial. So tell me a little bit about who you guys are partnered up with and what kind of things they're offering.
Yeah, so we partner up, or one of our main partnerships is going to be SRS Supplier. They were that was one of the ones where I was saying it was kind of like a deposition wherever the negotiation tables, because that's $1 billion company. They don't want to ruin their reputation. So we do get a pretty decent rebate program through them. And it's honestly pretty cool because it eliminates gates, eliminate the tier structure. I know here in Texas, to get 1%, generally you're doing around $700K to $1 million in spend with them. We can almost double that. And just without the gates, without the tiers, that right there, I tell customers, look, even if it's your secondary option, I understand ABC, Beacon, everybody's got their preferences. And I know the power of relationships, right? Believe me, I get it. But even if it's your second option, your third option, at the end of the day, it's like every $50,000 you spend with them, you get 1% of that back. It's like almost $1,000. It is $1,000 back at the end of the day. And that's just free money for things you're going to spend already. So why not just at least have a conversation? Worst they're going to do is tell you something you don't want to hear. The no harm, no foul, you stick with ABC. You stick with Pacific or Golf Eagle, whatever it may be, whoever you're working with. But then on the deeper level than that, like you mentioned, we do have a variety of partnerships. So it's things like, I'm wearing a Hail Trace bracelet right now. I love hail. We have a pretty significant discount with Hail Trace. With Business 411 is very good for like training manuals, branding, anything you can put your company logo on, they can create a training document for it, Lead Scout, if you're doing outreach tracking, heck, even Catch-All to protect their bushes. But then it even gets even deeper. So I like how you mentioned, like about the smaller companies and the gates, the tiers. Well, it also, that kind of has the same play in like insurance, general liability, workers' comp, commercial auto. Unless you're well established, you're usually going to get higher rates. So we have a partnership for them. Supplementing companies, financing companies. Literally, when I like to say we're like that coupon book at Burger King. You pay for $1 and you get almost $300 worth of savings within that book. Our average members, they do save around $30,000 a year, which is fairly significant. But even if you're saving, even if you're saving, heck, 5,000-10,000, even a couple $1,000 back into your pocket, that's a vacation right there. Almost, with inflation these days. But,
right? It's a trip around the corner, if nothing else. A full tank of gas.
Yeah. But we want to make it to where it is a no-brainer. Honestly, we're looking into things. Some ideas I've tossed around to Dylan, like porta potty services and dumping services, things that are required. And we want to be able to offer this on a national scale. So it's not just one or two companies or one or two people can benefit. Any member who signs up will be able to benefit from majority of our programs. That's honestly our goal. And then at the end of the day, just meeting people, and it just fills it just fills me with a sense of pride to be able to do this, because you mentioned like we're kind of helping the roofing owner who helps the homeowner. So therefore, it kind of goes back to that whole, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals now in turn. And this might be a little selfish of me to think this way, but I get to help out all of my members. I get to have a effect by proxy on all the homeowners they help, And so if you got one company doing 100 roofs, and then I've onboarded about 100 companies, that's thousands of homeowners I've indirectly been able to help out, if that makes sense. And to me, that just, it's a win-win for all parties involved.
Yes, sirree. And dude, I'm getting more excited about it as we go. Your energy level is picking up too. Real quick, we're at the 46-minute mark. I told you I like to keep it around an hour. One thing I'd like to do really quickly is I would like to give an acknowledgement to my sponsor, which is roofer.com. You see up here at the top of the screen. Roofer's been my sponsor for 2 years now. I love everything about this company. Much like what Limitless does, they've helped roofers with immeasurable technology. My job now is so much easier than it was 15 years ago. There are a lot of things that I didn't even think would ever be possible to happen that we do on a regular basis. So with your permission, Caston, I'd like to spend the next 20 seconds explaining through video about Roofer CRM. You ready?
Of course, they're one of our partnerships as well. So,
It's almost like I knew that. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in 20 seconds to start winding this down. But as I do every week, let's give a little bit of a shout out and give some glory to our friends at Roofer.
We're Roofer. We know that managing a roofing business can be chaotic, so we created a single platform with all the tools you need to easily run your roofing business. Stop switching between multiple different softwares and experience streamlined operations from lead to payments in hours instead of days. Visit roofr.com to get started for free today.
Yes.
That's amazing. I love that.
Exactly. And then that's a company that started with just a couple of guys, and they were roofers and they understood a need. And, that's the cool thing about it is over the last couple of years, the last 5, 7, 10 years, a lot of these companies like yours have come in now, and they are changing the way that things are being done. And a lot of the smaller people are now seeing the opportunities to actually get rebates, because believe it or not all these roofing companies get rebates from their manufacturers or their suppliers. A lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people never get the introduction because, it is what it is. Yeah. So you're bringing this awareness. You're helping people maximize their potential for their business, which is going to keep them going and build them even bigger. So let's talk. You said 400 members currently with Limitless. What are you guys striving to achieve? What's the ultimate goal for you guys to help with our industry? And you got to realize, just in DFW alone, there's 3,500 plus roofing contractors. So when you think about it, it's like, wow, we've still got a pretty good room for growth here. What's it look like? How many are y'all trying to get?
So we want to get up to about in the next 5-10 years, 10,000 roofing companies. Full disclosure, we want to become a mega force in the industry. By the end of the year, we do want to be at least 800 fully onboarded, so we can kind of revisit some of our negotiation tables and just kind of get better deals, as we grow, as people. A lot of these companies, they were negotiated sub 100 members. So it's kind of, they took a
more leverage now. Yes. You've got more value.
Right. So now we can actually strong arm, not only strong arm's a bad word, but we can
negotiate better.
Yeah. No, but we have a little bit more leverage on our end of the table now. It's not more so of, hey, please take a risk with us. It's, We have proven track record of success. We can document how many squares our members lay down. We can document how much they're spending and what they're spending on. And these metrics, honestly, at the end of the day, are super important to these companies. Numbers don't lie. I love numbers. I'm very analytical and patterns, and like, I hate spreadsheets, but I love spreadsheets, if that makes sense. Like,
oh yeah, it's a love-hate relationship all around. I like the numbers on the bottom. I don't like any of the calculations to get to
them. There, right? So, but honestly, we just wanna show people, like, hey, this can be a very lucrative career. This can be very fulfilling, very worthwhile, monetarily, self-fulfilling prophecy type stuff. But it doesn't have to be all, I hate to use the term like hookers and blow, but
yeah. You just got half the crowd to perk up right there.
Yeah. They're like, wait, what? But it's good to see the collaboration. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, we are still a small knit industry where chances are, 5 or 10 people. You go to these events, it's like a family reunion. And it's really cool. Like myself, I've actually been sober now about 6 months. May 11 will be my 6th month without a drink.
Nice.
I'm going on. Hey, thank you. Going on almost 2 weeks without smoking. So, it's just none of this would have happened in my life had I not joined the roofing industry. And that to me is bewildering to say. Like, I joined one of the most degenerate industries and my life changed. It literally changed. And that's a success story right there, in my opinion.
Oh my gosh, it's a huge success story. And I know so many people in this industry that, have done major time in prison, that were facing major time in prison, that have, died and come back to life multiple times. And it's the most forgiving industry. And I think that the biggest misconception from the outside looking in is what you said. It's a bunch of degenerates, when in reality, there's like probably 3% of our industry are that. The other 97 are some of the most wonderful human beings on this planet, and will go out of their way to help people in any way that they possibly can. And I know that I've been blessed throughout my 26 years. I've met some of the most amazing people. I've been to some of the most amazing roofing companies, and it changed my life too. I was pissed off on a Friday afternoon 26 years ago, and I used to deliver drywall for a living, which was very physical, and I didn't like it. And I was having a bad Friday. I'm driving home, and there's a roofing supply company that was hiring. I pulled in that day, Friday, 26 years ago, and here we are. And that's because amazing. Of it, I've met so many amazing people. I do this podcast, and I get, I've had VPs from major manufacturers. I've had, $200 million a year roofing company owners, the whole deal. And I just look at it and I think, what an amazing thing that not enough people know about it, but I'm glad, because the people don't deserve to be in it, in my opinion. Right. And it's those of us that are here that are looking out for it, that are trying to help the next generation, trying to help the industry. We're making a huge change, whether it seems like it or not at times. We're definitely doing that. And that kind of pushes me in towards the downward slope of our conversation here. Yesterday, I have a young roofing company owner friend here in San Antonio, and we talk frequently. He called me up and we were discussing something that was going on. And I asked him if he had ever heard of Limitless Roofing Group, and he had never heard of it before. Asked me about the program and what it was. And I kind of said, hey man, I'm going to have the guy on my podcast tomorrow. I'll get all these answers for you. But the one thing that I have not asked yet, this is probably the most important one of them all. If we're going to try to grow to 800 subscribers by the end of the month or the end of the year, I want Keepin at Rio to be a part of this. So anybody that's watching this episode, if you see this and you're thinking, wow, this is a really good program, there is no catch. This guy is genuine. He's not a snake oil salesman. The last hour has been the most genuine conversation I've had in a long time. And I want to join this group. how do my roofing friends get in to the Limitless Roofing Group?
Yeah, so it's completely free. We have limitlessroofinggroup.com. There's not even a spot to put your credit card in. Whenever you sign up, that's how much we try. Because like I said, we're not doing any backhanded things or anything like that. You can always find me on Facebook. My calendar is there. I've got my phone number on there as well. I don't know why I give my phone number out to tens of thousands of people, but if my phone rings, I answer it, you know. But at the end of the day, we really are trying to create something larger than ourselves, beneficial for this industry. And it might not be a great fit for everybody. I'm not going to pressure anybody to join our free membership. That's do it. Yeah, do it now. No, that's not, you know, if you don't like it, you don't like it. And believe me, I get cussed out and hung up on just as much as the next person, you know, or doors, as you guys probably have doors slammed in your face, you know. But at the end of the day, we are genuine. We do try and allude to the fact that our relationships, our resources, some of these, like I said, Miller and Dylan have spent years developing. We get to just pass that along to you guys. We're handing you the keys, you know. So again, that's limitlessroofinggroup.com. You can find my calendar, my number on my Facebook. It's Caston Harp. But yeah, it's super easy process. You can sign up. It's free. Have an onboarding call with me. I'll send you some swag and hopefully save you some money.
Heck yeah. And they've got some of the finest swag. I use the wallet all the time. I sent you the picture. I've got the wallet, and that's what I use as my daily driver. And I appreciate that sincerely. So you did just kind of hit on this just a little bit. And it's kind of a two-part question for you today because you are still pretty new to the industry. Your energy is awesome. You've got some real value to bring to our industry. And I feel like you're going to be in this for a long time. So I want to help you get some more followers as well. Anybody that's watching that says, man, this guy Caston, he's bringing it. He's got an awesome program. He's helping people. He's been sober. He's improving his life, which is more important than any of this business stuff. He's on a journey. His reasons for wanting to do this are his two young girls. I just like this dude and I want to follow him. What do they need to do to make it happen?
So right now I'm active on Facebook. That's probably my main social media site. So it's just like I said, Caston Harp, like the musical instrument. You know, I like to say angels they play their music whenever I wake up in the morning. So I don't know if that's too self-righteous, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yes, sir. And then eventually I will be hopefully starting my own podcast, just kind of preaching positivity and light, you know, because at the end of the day, I feel like the world needs more kindness. It's free to be kind. A lot of people so overwhelmed at what they've got going on, whether it be their problems or their benefits. Just be happy, be kind, be positive. Whatever you're going through, believe me, I've seen some crazy stories. I've been on my own since about 16, 17 years old. You know, not once did I ever say, I can't do this. Now when I was in fifth grade, you know, I almost did try to commit suicide, but that's crazy. So, but even since then, I learned, even though I've had this rough past, just smile, just be a real person, you know?
That's it. And we're in the era now where being yourself is cool. And I think that's fun because, you know, I do this podcast for fun. I don't care, you know, I always say, I don't care if anybody watches, but it's very touching when people come up and say, you know, I saw this episode that you did 2 years ago and I reached out to that person because his story resonated with me and he sent me a copy of his book and now we talk regularly. To me, that is the coolest thing. And you realize at some point that life does have a time limit and you just want to just enjoy it as much as you can. Don't let the little things that don't matter. They always say, if it doesn't matter 5 years from now, don't let it matter 5 minutes from now. And it's something I've adopted. And I really appreciate your perspective on it because better to be positive than negative. Right. So Caston, thank you, my friend, for taking the time. You have been on here for an hour. This has been really good. I didn't know if we were going to get an hour or if we were going to get, whatever. And I think we could probably do another hour. So I'd like to formally invite you back anytime that you ever want to be on Keeping It Rio. You have an open invitation, my friend.
Yeah, and I appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, definitely. For everybody that's watching, thank you guys as always. Episode 166. I wouldn't have been able to do episode 2 without somebody giving me a little bit of encouragement and saying, hey, man, that's pretty cool. So I appreciate everybody for that. As always, remember to like, subscribe, share, do all that cool stuff to help spread the word of Keeping It Rio. And until next time, Cast and I end every episode with the world's worst tagline, and it separates Keeping It Rio from everybody. And that quite simply is keep on